Yeah, so we're just, looking for, oh, there's your step down right there. So again, I'm looking for a move below. It's just coming right through it, guys. As much as I hate to tell you this, now we're getting awfully close to this trend line I'm looking at. And it's bounced off this line every time since 11 a.m. So I want to respect that as well. But that was a great step down. It just moved so fast through my target, which was 273.30, as you know. And actually, now it's going back above it. So that was just a quick test of a major support level. And you know it's a major support level because there have been 4 or 5 touches.
Yeah, 273 for me. If I was going to take a put on this, maybe if it closes at 273.10.
Yeah, I'm seeing that trend line come all the way down to 272.80. But again, if you can enter at 273.10, you do have enough room to run until it hits this trend line. But the Dow is up 480. Oddly enough, we have made some money on some of these short trades, which normally they don't have a high probability. A short trade on a big green day like today. But I would certainly rather see a bounce off the trend line I'm looking at and go long. Higher probability. But at the moment, it's testing this new support level at 273.10, which is down here. Still not seeing a big step down here. Remember, our primary goal is not to take a winning trade, but it is to avoid a losing trade. When you stick with that premise, you're going to be in good shape. But yeah, I think it's going to come all the way down and test this trend line at 270. Just not quite trusting it. For a number of reasons.
Yeah, it tested the 10 level and pulled right back up.
Yep. Our DPO is flat. Chop indicators flat to rising. RSI declining. There's all kinds of reasons to be careful here. Yep, that's why we wait right there.
That thing was telegraphed too, massively.
Yes. We might actually get the bull signal. Well, if we buy a call, I will do tomorrow's 273. I like that higher delta right now. Smaller group this afternoon.
Well, we did go 4 for 4 earlier, so maybe everybody just decided to skip it.
Good point, and I hope that that's exactly why we have less people. Because one of my, I'm gonna call it a recommendation more than a rule, is if you win 2 in a row, you should be done. And we won 4 in a row. So I'm looking at 273.80, but then we have pretty good resistance at 274.07. I'm going to redraw my trend lines. So this is a breakout from an old trend line right here. And we got that pivot point at 273.80-ish. Which also was a big area of support from 1134 to 1147. So I think above 273.80, if everything else lines up, I will go in. But again, the main thing is the step down in the chop. We need a drop and chop. That's right, Craig. Yeah, it doesn't know what it wants to do. It bounced off that trend line again. That's right, Craig. Capital preservation is number one. Chop it like it's chop. How are my self-admitted overtraders doing today? I've been getting some great messages that those that were, overtrading are doing so much better. That's great, Michael. And that's just because you calmed down. Awesome. Great, Ray. That's a good progression, Paul. It's a good day, Isaac. That's good, Jordan. These are all great comments, you guys. Yeah, that'll increase. I think a little bit of that is confidence, Paul. Confidence makes you wait, hesitate a little bit in, and it makes you a little too quick out. And that's when you really want to just trust the indicators. That's good, Len. I mean, most of you that have shared are still very, very new in the scheme of, a trading career. Yeah, journaling is so important. I use software, but either way. No, Paul, but after 2 months, you should at least know the game, understand the system. Now it's a question of following it, trusting it. Okay, it just broke out of this long downward trend line. Probably will head to 283.80 now. Sorry, 273.80. I track my trades with TraderSync, I think. Yeah, TraderSync. You can download your CSV file from Tastyworks and upload it right into TraderSync. But you know, it's you have to buy it, so and it's almost I think really healthy discipline in the beginning to actually write them down. And if you're only taking 4 a day, you should be able to write those down. But when you're taking 10 a day, you just won't want to write them down. So if you don't want to write them down, you know you're over trading. And you got to ask yourself, do I want to make money or do I want to overtrade? Because you're never going to do both.
It's a great analogy, Dan. I like that.
Thanks. That's right, Ryan. Dan, thank you. I'm really glad you're sticking with paper. I mean, no criticism to anybody because everybody, not everybody, but many people do it. But it's kind of weird when you think that you've just learned something and you've not really practiced it very many times, and then you want to jump in with your real money. But beyond that, some of us want to jump in with a big, huge sum of real money. And it doesn't matter how much money you have, I don't care. You shouldn't develop a habit of losing money. And so that's why I'm so adamant. Paper, 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 paper. Then one contract, etc. Ugh, boring. Feel like snoring. Yeah, don't get over your skis. God, no. Things can unravel really fast. Because usually when you're over trading, you're also revenge trading. Because usually over traders don't make money, so they're always trying to revenge trade, and that's when things can really unravel. That's when you look and you say, oh my God, what just happened? You keep trying to double down at the table. Love it, Brandon. That's good. Yeah, Paul, very long, very slow consolidation, very low volatility. Just remember, low volatility is always followed by high volatility. So we just got to sit here and wait. That's funny, Jordan. Yeah, that's a huge rule, Ray. The two simple things, if you do them, it's hard for me to imagine that you could lose money. And thing number one is the two loss rule. And thing number two, the losses obviously need to be small. And that comes from not staying in after you see an exit signal. Our system will not let you take a big loss, which is part of the reason it's not as good in CHOP, because it just gets you in and out and out and out. The whole system is designed for a trend. But the point is, get out when you see the exit. It might feel like a big loss of like maybe 20 cents a share, but it's not. If you hang on for another 10 minutes, then I'm sure you've all experienced this. Like, oh my gosh, that 20 cents doesn't sound that bad now that I'm down 40. You wish you would have taken that initial loss. All right, Len, have a good day. This is really, really goofy. No toad rides. When you're really experienced, but it still can get you in trouble, and you really understand the support and resistance lines, that's the only time you would ever take a toad ride, and you're riding it in the direction of the market. Like if you went short right now and it turned against you, you should know exactly where the resistance is, and if it gets through that, you would get out. But you never want to hang on to a short trade in an up market. Yeah, chop indicators through the roof now. Our trend line went green. Our bullish force is up to 75, and we finally broke above this long-term trend line. So this could be getting close to a breakout, but we got to get above the 50. And for me, just because it's been so choppy, and because I'm 6 for 6 and I don't want to lose one, 273.85 will be my entry point. Yeah, Lee, that's the trend line. I don't know when you put it there, but mine is a little tighter in, and it broke out of it 2 candles ago.
Oh, I see what you're talking about.
Yeah, you're bumping against it right now.
Yeah,
That one.
yeah.
We broke out of that one, and that trend line goes back to like 11:15. But I don't have a blue candle and I don't have a bull signal. And I would never take a long trade below the 50-day moving average.
That's not a recommendation. That actually is a rule.
Yes.
At least repeat it.
That's will smack you upside the head sort of rule. With a frying pan.
Iron skillet.
Ouch. More contracts at a lower delta, Paul. There's math involved there, but normally the ROI is better until you go too low of a delta. But if you're kind of in the 30 to 50 delta, sometimes the lower contracts are better, lower delta. But when we're scalping like this, then you really want to get I think the closer you can stay to a 40 to 50 delta when you're scalping, the better. All right, now we're retesting that trend line. And also we failed at the 50-day moving average. Craig, don't change anything on the 50-day EMA. In my opinion. Keep that simple. And Kevin, are you asking what delta is? Oh, got it. Okay, good. Because I'm trying to think, do I want to have the energy to explain delta during this class? Yeah, it's close to 50 when scalping. I'll usually go one outside the money. So right now, if I were buying a call, I would buy the 274, which is a 42, or I would buy the 273. And some of that has to do with how much capital you have also. So this thing's coming back now below this trend line, which is pretty bearish. but I still think it's going to stay sideways here. There's a lot of support at 273.10. To me, below 273.10 will be a pretty good trade. But I still want it to line up. Interesting. So this test of this trend line, maybe it's going to hold. Yeah, 50 and 15 does sound a lot alike. This is about as boring and sideways as it can get.
Sell 30 minutes of it, basically.
I believe that something meaningful will happen before the end of this session. I just hope it's not 2 minutes before the end of the session.
Right. That's right, Jordan. I moved it to tomorrow, so we'll see.
Yeah, Mike, I haven't looked at Nike since this morning. You know that. You know those trades. Those are when they trigger, get in, get out. If they re-trigger, get in, get out. But I know some of those morning picks did pretty well. No. Please don't confuse swing trades with day trades, James. You have to look at a day trade. You have to keep your eyes on that thing or set bracket orders. Swing trades, I don't really look at very much during the day. Unless the market was like crashing or something. Paul, I didn't necessarily say you should use the 5. I've always said you should use the 1 or the 5. The 1 is going to do a little bit better job of protecting you during a false signal. We traded the 5-minute chart entirely, I think, up until, what was it, in June? We went to the 1-minute chart.
Yeah, it was right when I started, actually. That was June the 7th. So at that time, we were still trading on 5, and it was like the next day, maybe 2 days later, we switched over to 1s.
And I still like the 5-minute for day trades. Why not 1 second, David?
Talk about anxiety.
It's like, how many false signals do you want to look at? No, I'm telling you, if you're going to do 30 seconds, I want to do 1 second. There's a point where faster is not better. Craig, you'll have to hunt around a little bit. Like, I can't recite the date and time I posted that. Oh, thanks, Paul. It's pinned in the day trading channel. But if you're talking about unchecking boxes, then you probably don't have the latest version of FlightStation. And if you don't have it, that means you need to uninstall what you have, log out, log back in, and reinstall FlightStation. And if you don't have the lower panel, which is all the way down at the bottom here, then you haven't given me your username so I can add you. Not necessarily, Kevin. No, I would say not necessarily. In fact, if you look at my trade bot right now, which is taking it's set up to take the 5 minute, the 15, and the 1 hour. There's not a big difference between the win rates. There's a bigger difference between the profit and the loss, because by the time the 5 minute gives you an exit, it could have really turned against you. But on the other hand, a lot of times the 1 minute gets you out and the 5 minute would have kept you in, and staying in was the better choice. But you're going to have bigger drawdowns. I'm trying to find my bot to check it. There it is. So right now, the 5 minute bot is up $700. The 15 minute bot is up $642. And it's actually down a little bit on the day, while the 5 minute bot is up significantly on the day. And remember, these bots are they're about a week to 10 days old. And then the 1 hour bot is up $750. So they're all fairly similar. But it is a question that I ask myself often. And there is no, obviously, like anything in trading, there's no black and white answer. The black and white answer would be sometimes. Well, we're sneaking up to this 273.80 level. But we still don't have any of the indicators confirming. Well, Paul, layoffs precede unemployment, and all of that comes later, as we're getting ready to enter a recession. Yeah, I was going to ask you if that was a trick question. That's why consumer confidence really surprised me, because the layoff numbers are not looking good. The Citibank Economic Surprise Index is not looking good. The CEO sentiment survey is looking horrible. We're seeing earnings revisions to the downside. So the consumer confidence was a shocker today. I'm not sure I trust it, but I do think it was probably mostly driven by softer inflation expectations. Yeah, so this is starting to get revved up here. Volume's climbing. What's that?
You got a signal too.
Yeah, so I'm going to slide over to the 273 call. Full disclosure, I'm buying one because I'm up enough today. So I'm just doing this in spirit. If we even get an entry signal. And I'll tell you something 100% honest. If this trade goes up $1 a contract, $100 a contract, I will not fret one bit about buying one contract instead of 40. Not one bit. Because I know there's always lots of winning trades coming. I'll say something like, "Oh wow, that was $4,000. I don't have now." Not that I would have lost it, but I would have made 4,000 on 40 contracts. But at the moment, it's not going anywhere. It might be failing at the 50-day moving average again. Guys, I apologize. This was definitely a boring afternoon. Never really got out of the chop. And the one time we did see any volatility was that 1250 fake out candle. But we had a killer morning and a killer midday.
So the conversation was good though today.
Thanks, David. Sideways moving afternoon. Yep. Oh, Joel, there was during COVID, there was that Instagram video that went like viral. Um, it was like a company meeting with like 10 people, something like that. And the guy says, "Hey, can I step away for a minute?" And the boss says, "Sure." And he comes back with some supplies, lotion and tissue. And you can, the girls in the background, well, everyone's, "Don't do it, no!" And they're screaming as loud as they can to let him know that they could see what he was doing. And then the zipper goes down. It was, oh my God, I would die. Did you guys see that? That really happened. All right, guys. Thanks, Lee. I'm glad you guys all, not all, but at least everybody I heard from had a great day. And we'll catch you tomorrow. Joel, whatever you sent, it'll disappear when I close this. So if you don't mind me resending it, resending it on Telegram. I'll take a look at it later. Okay, guys. Anything else before we log out? Okay.
Good.
All right, guys.
45 minutes, Dan. Bye, everyone. See you in the morning session.
All right. Bye.